He was just a small human boy. She was a lonely alien child in a broken world. One simple toy. One small act of kindness. And the next day, the universe answered with warships. Asterisk, if this story touched your heart, like the video right now. Tell us in the comments, what would you do in his place? And subscribe for more emotional HFY sci-fi stories that change the universe. Asterisk, the desert planet was silent, not peaceful, not calm, just empty in a way that felt wrong. Small alien child Kiro sat alone near the broken stone wall. His blue skin was dusty. His eyes were large and full of fear. The war had taken everyone. His parents, his home, his world. He waited every day for someone to come back. No one ever did. Across the wide red sand, a small human boy walked alone. His name was Adam, 7 years old. Thin arms, dirty shoes. A small bag on his back. The human ship had crashed 2 days ago. Everyone ran. Soldiers, pilots, engineers, all ran in different ways when the aliens attacked. But Adam got lost. Now he walked through alien ruins with shaking hands and brave eyes. Then he saw Kiro. The alien child froze. Humans were enemies. Humans brought war. Humans killed his people. Kiro's body shook. He wanted to run, but he was too weak, too tired. Adam also stopped walking. 2 children, 2 worlds, standing face to face. Adam slowly reached into his bag. Kiro thought it was a weapon, but it was not. It was a small toy robot. Silver, 1 arm broken, old and scratched. Adam held it out with both hands. For you, he said. Softly. Kiro did not understand the words, but he understood the meaning. No one had given him anything since the war began. His hands moved, slowly, carefully, like touching fire. Then he held the toy. The robot made a soft sound. Kiro's eyes widened. For the first time in weeks, he smiled. That moment changed the universe. Far above the planet, hidden in silence, the gray fleet watched. They were not traders. They were not explorers. They were the most feared warriors in 5-star systems, 500 elite alien fighters. They had one mission: erase all humans on this planet. Their leader, Commander Rock, watched the screen. He saw the human child. He saw the toy. He saw Kiro smile. Rock's claws tightened. That child is offering peace, one officer said quietly. No, Rock answered slowly. That child is offering truth. The signal spread across the fleet. War orders paused. For the first time in 10 years, the gray fleet did not fire. That night, Kiro did not sleep alone. Adam shared his last food pack. They sat under broken stars and glowing smoke clouds. Kiro moved the toy across the sand. Adam laughed. 2 children. Same laughter. Same fear. Same hope. At sunrise, the sky turned dark. 500 ships appeared. The ground shook. Adam looked up in fear. Kiro stood tall. They came. Kiro whispered in his alien tongue. They came for me. Adam grabbed his hand. I stay. Adam said. The ships landed like falling mountains. Warriors marched out in black armor. Their eyes burned with firelight. Human soldiers hiding in the fire. Nearby ruins watched in terror. They brought the full fleet, one soldier whispered. We are dead. Commander Rake stepped forward. Kiro walked toward him. Adam walked with him. Everyone aimed there. Weapons. Rack raised one claw. Do not fire, he commanded. He knelt on the ground in front of the human child. The battlefield froze. A war commander kneeling. To a human boy, Rack looked at the toy in Kiro's hand. Then, at Adam's shaking face. Why did you give him that? Rake asked. Adam swallowed. He looked lonely. Silence broke the air. Then something impossible happened. every warrior behind. Rack dropped to one knee, 500 fierce. Warriors. Kneeling. Not in fear. In respect. The human soldiers dropped their weapons in shock. What is happening? One whispered. Rhak stood and turned to the sky. Today, he announced, we protect the child who chose kindness over fear. The war changed direction. On that same day, in far human space, Earth received a single message. It showed a small video. A human boy. An alien child. A broken toy robot. And 500 warriors standing behind them. The message ended with one line. Human kindness has activated the ancient pact. Earth had no idea what that meant, but the universe did. And the next day, the warriors moved, not to attack, but to defend. The sky stayed dark long after the 500 ships landed, and no one on the ground knew if the night would ever feel normal again. The alien warriors did not attack the human soldiers hiding in the ruins. Instead, they spread out in wide circles, forming silent guard lines around Adam and Kiro, their heavy boots pressed into the red sand like marks of warning to the universe itself. The human soldiers slowly raised their heads from behind broken walls and burned vehicles, confused and afraid. They had come to die on this planet. Instead, they were being protected by the very army sent to destroy them. Adam did not understand war or fleets or ancient pacts. He only knew Kiro's hand was small and cold in his own, and the toy robot was still in the alien child's grip like a fragile treasure. Far above the planet, more signals moved through deep space. Old systems awakened. Sleeping stations turned on their lights for the first time in centuries. What Adam had done was not small. The universe measured actions by weight of meaning, not by size of the hand that made them. The moment the toy touched Kiro's palms, something older than war had responded. On Earth, generals gathered in a silent emergency hall, staring at the same message again and again. No one spoke for a long time. A single question moved from mouth to mouth in whispers. Why would a war fleet kneel to one human child? On the planet, Commander Rack stood at the front of his warriors, watching the horizon with burning eyes. He did not fear humans, but he feared what moved behind them. His species had once destroyed a young race long ago for breaking the ancient pact. Since then, all advanced warriors were bound to answer any call of true innocence across bloodlines. Kiro was one of the last children of a forgotten world. Adam had crossed a line no weapon ever could. He made an impossible bridge between enemies that had never dared to trust each other. The warriors now belonged to that bridge, and they would die to protect it if needed. When the first human evacuation ship tried to land near the ruins, the ground shook again, not from fear, but from power. A new fleet appeared in orbit, different in shape, darker in design. This one did not belong to the Gray Fleet or to humans. Its weapons glowed with hungry energy. The enemy that destroyed Kiro's world had returned to finish its work. Their ships opened fire without warning. Blue light tore through the sky. The sand exploded near the ruins. Human soldiers screamed and ran. Adam fell backward as shock waves rolled across the ground. Kiro cried out and covered his face. The toy robot slipped from his hands and landed in the sand. Rack moved faster than sound. His command signal shattered the air. The 500 warriors rose as one body. Their armor flashed alive. Shields formed in wide glowing walls in front of the children. Enemy fire slammed into them like storms hitting mountains. The human soldiers watched in disbelief as alien bodies took hits meant for them. Not one warrior stepped back. Rake lifted his arm and pointed at the sky. The response was instant. 500 ships rose from the sand like rising giants. The first true battle of defense had begun. Space became fire. Human radar systems could not even track the speed of the alien fleet. Gray ships twisted through enemy lines like living shadows. They were not fighting for territory. They were fighting for two children on the ground, Every enemy ship that fell sent a powerful message across the stars. This planet was now under protection of the ancient pact. The enemy did not expect such resistance. Their numbers were large, but their fear grew faster. One by one, their ships began to retreat. On the ground, Adam crawled through smoke and noise until he reached the broken toy. He lifted it with shaking fingers and placed it back into Kiro's hands. "It still works," he said, forcing a small smile. Kiro looked at him with glowing eyes full of tears. In that moment, the alien child understood something no war could teach. Kindness was stronger than fear. Human soldiers nearby slowly lowered their weapons, watching the children instead of the sky. When the last enemy ship vanished into the darkness of space, silence returned to the battlefield. The ground was burned, the air was heavy, and the stars looked wounded. But no human had fallen during the attack. No child had been touched. Rak walked back toward Adam and Kiro. His armor was scarred, but his posture was unbroken. He knelt once more before the human child and placed his claw over his chest. "The universe has chosen a protector," he said, "and it is not the strongest one." Far away on Earth, alarms continued to sound, but no invasion came. Instead, more messages arrived from unknown worlds. The universe was moving. Old enemies were watching. New alliances were forming. And at the center of it all stood one small human boy, one lonely alien child, and a broken toy robot that had stopped a war from becoming a massacre. But the enemy had not been destroyed. They had only withdrawn, and when they returned, they would not come for soldiers. They would come for the child who changed everything. The warning came too late. Long before Earth fully understood what the ancient pact meant, shadows were already moving between the stars. The enemy fleet that had attacked the planet did not flee in fear. They fled with a plan. They had seen the kneeling warriors. They had seen the human child at the center of it all. And they understood one terrifying truth. If they removed the child, the shield would fall. Adam had become more than a boy. He had become a living key. On the surface, the alien warriors built a fortress of light and metal around Adam and Kiro. Energy walls rose from the sand. Ships circled day and night like silent moons. Human soldiers worked beside alien fighters now, still unsure how trust had arrived so fast between old enemies. Adam stayed close to Kiro at all times. The toy robot never left Kiro's hands. At night, Kiro slept holding it like it was his heart. Adam watched him, feeling a strange weight growing inside his chest. He did not know why the universe cared about his small act. He only knew he did not regret it. Commander Rake stood alone at the edge of the shield one night, staring into empty space. His instincts burned with old fear. He had fought many wars. He had never guarded a child like this. Then the warning signal hit. Not loud, not violent. Just a silent code pulse that only ancient warriors could hear. Rak's eyes widened. "They are already among us," he whispered. The attack did not come from the sky. It came from above Adam's head. A shimmer in the air twisted into sharp black shapes. Enemy assassins dropped through folded space like ghosts tearing through water. They moved too fast for human eyes. 3 of them headed straight for Adam. The shield flared as energy blades stabbed into it from inside. Sirens screamed. Warriors turned and fired. But one assassin slipped through a weakening seam and landed inside. The safety zone. Adam did not run. He froze. The assassin's body was thin and dark, like living shadow with burning red eyes. A blade of light formed in its hand and lifted toward the boy's chest. Kiro screamed. Human soldiers opened fire, but their bullets phased through the creature. It moved faster than sound. The blade dropped. Rake moved faster. The commander crossed the field in one impossible leap. The blade struck his armor instead of Adam's body. The impact shook the air. Rack's armor cracked but did not break. He grabbed the assassin with both claws and drove it into the ground with earth-shaking force. Alien warriors flooded the zone. The remaining assassins were torn apart in seconds. Smoke filled the air. Silence followed. Adam stood shaking, eyes wide, still alive. Rack slowly stood from the crater he had made in the sand. His armor was split. Dark energy burned across his chest. He knelt before Adam again, this time not in honor, but in pain. "They will keep coming," he said. "Your life now weighs more than planets." That night, Earth finally understood the danger. The enemy had launched the first recorded child-targeted strike in known space history. The rules of war were broken. Across human space, ships lifted from docks. Fleets formed for the first time, not for control, not for power, but for protection. Humanity was waking up to the truth. One of their smallest had become the most hunted being alive. Kiro could not stop shaking after the attack. His small body trembled as he held the toy robot tight. Adam sat beside him under the soft glow of the shield lights. "I won't let them take you," Adam said quietly. Kiro did not understand the words fully, but he understood the promise. He leaned his head against Adam's shoulder. High above the planet, the enemy leaders watched the failure in silence. They had expected fear. They had received loyalty instead. The ancient pact was not weakening. It was spreading. More old warrior clans were answering the call. More fleets were turning toward the child's location. The enemy realized too late they had not triggered a rescue. They had triggered a storm on the ground. Human and alien commanders gathered for the first joint war council in history. Screens showed moving fleets, hostile vectors, and star paths burning with oncoming war. Adam watched from behind a glass wall, holding Kiro's hand. He did not understand maps or tactics, but he saw fear in the adult's eyes. Real fear. Rack stepped forward and spoke one sentence that froze the room. "The enemy will not fight us now. They will try to break the symbol first." "Which symbol?" a human general asked. Rack turned slowly and pointed through the glass at Adam. At Kiro. The room fell silent. Far out in deep space, massive weapons began to wake from ancient sleep. The enemy was no longer planning a strike. They were preparing a purge. And this time, they would not send assassins. They would send a fleet meant to erase stars. Earth did not sleep that night. Across its cities, screens lit up with the same message. A child under alien protection. An enemy fleet preparing star-level weapons. The ancient pact awakened by human kindness. At first, many people refused to believe it. But then the Joint Command broadcast began. Human generals stood beside alien commanders for the first time in history. And the truth became impossible to deny. They were not being invited into a war. They were already inside. Across Earth's orbit, defense platforms powered up. Old ships were pulled from forgotten docks. New ones lifted before paint could even dry. Families watched from windows as fleets rose like steel oceans into the sky. There was fear, yes, but something stronger moved beneath it. Pride. A human child had stood unarmed before the universe and chosen kindness. Now the universe was standing with him. And Earth would not be the race that turned its back on its own. On the desert planet, Adam felt the change before anyone spoke. The air inside the shield hummed with new energy. Kiro looked up at the sky, his bright eyes reflecting distant engine flares. "More stars are waking up," he whispered. Adam did not know what that meant, but he felt the weight of it in his bones. Rack stepped forward and knelt once more, not just to Adam this time, but to both children. "The human fleet comes," he said. "And they do not come alone." High above the planet, the first human battle cruisers arrived. They did not come in silence. They came with shields glowing bright blue, engines roaring across space like thunder. The gray fleet opened corridors for them, guiding them into defensive formation around the planet. For the first time, human ships flew beside alien war vessels without suspicion. No orders were needed. The reason for the war stood on the ground below them. Adam watched the sky with wide eyes. "Are they here for me?" he asked quietly. Rack did not lie. "They are here because of you." Far beyond the orbit, in cold black space, the enemy fleet finally revealed its full shape. Thousands of ships formed a wide dark wall between the stars. At the center of it all, one massive weapon unfolded piece by piece like a dead god waking from sleep. Its power signature climbed so fast that navigation systems failed to measure it properly. This weapon was not built to win battles. It was built to erase worlds. The first transmission from the enemy leader cut through all channels at once. "Return the symbol," the voice echoed, "or we will cleanse the system." On Earth, silence followed the message. For one long moment, the fate of the child balanced on every human heartbeat. Then the human answer went out. A calm, firm voice filled every channel across space. "You will not take him." And the war officially began. The enemy fleet opened fire. Stars vanished behind curtains of light. Human shields flared under strikes meant to shatter moons. Alien formations bent, but did not break. The gray fleet surged forward like living steel. Human pilots followed without hesitation. For many of them, it was the first real space battle of their lives. Fear pressed hard inside their chests, but a stronger thought burned in their minds. They were fighting for a child, on the ground. Adam felt the thunder of distant impacts as vibrations through the sand. Kiro clutched the toy robot against his chest. The small shield around them trembled with each heavy strike in space. Rake and his warriors formed a tight wall of bodies around the children. Human soldiers took positions beside them, side by side with former enemies. A massive explosion bloomed above the planet. One human cruiser was hit directly. It did not fall. It held its line with burning engines and broken armor, refusing to retreat. Alien fighters immediately moved in front of it, soaking incoming fire with their own shields. The meaning of protection had changed. It was no longer only alien warriors kneeling to a human child. Now humanity was kneeling beside them. The enemy weapon reached full charge. Energy spiraled inward, toward its center like a collapsing star. One shot from it would burn through the planet's shield and turn the surface into glass. Enemy commanders prepared for victory. They had waited centuries to erase the pact itself. Rack activated a final ancient signal. Across the universe, sleeping fleets heard it. Old warrior clans that had not lifted weapons in hundreds of years woke from silence. Their ships turned toward the signal like iron pulled by gravity. The child's act of kindness had not only awakened protectors, it had awakened legends. As the enemy weapon reached its final charge, dozens of unknown fleet markers appeared on all battle maps. Then hundreds more. Shapes never recorded by any database dropped out of folded space at impossible speed. The enemy formation wavered. The human and alien fleets did not retreat. They surged forward. Below, Adam pressed his small hand against the transparent shield wall and whispered the only thing he could think of. "Please don't let them hurt Kiro." Above him, the sky turned into fire, and for the first time since the war began, the enemy began to panic. The stars did not just move. They broke. Across the black sky, space itself folded open again and again as the unknown fleets arrived. Their ships were not shaped like human steel or alien bone. They were built like living storms, wrapped in ancient light and quiet power. Some were small and fast like blades. Others were so large they blocked the glow of entire star clusters behind them. Enemy scanners failed as soon as the first of these fleets appeared. Their systems could not name what they were seeing. On the enemy command bridge, voices rose in panic. These were not reinforcements they had planned for. These were not races they had once defeated. These were the Watchers, the old protectors, the silent judges of ancient war law. The ancient pact was no longer just active. It was alive. The first wave of legendary ships did not rush forward in anger. They moved with calm control. Energy lines spread between them like a glowing net. The enemy weapon locked onto the planet again and fired. A beam of pure destruction tore through space toward the shield over Adam and Kiro. It never reached them. One massive unknown ship drifted forward and absorbed the blast without slowing. The beam bent and vanished inside its shield like water into deep sand. For the first time, the enemy hesitated. Human and alien fleets seized the moment. The combined charge began. Human cruisers pushed forward with burning engines. Gray fleet fighters moved like shadows beside them. The ancient ships cut through the enemy line like silent kings of the battlefield. The sky became layers of light, fire, and breaking metal. Enemy ships fell in burning trails across space. Every time the enemy formed a new wall, it was torn apart by forces older than their fleet history. On the ground, Adam watched through the shield as flashes of white and blue reflected across the clouds above. His heart beat so fast it hurt. Kiro pressed close to him, shaking but still watching. "They came for you," Kiro whispered. Adam shook his head. "They came for us," he softly answered. Rack turned at the sound of that and felt something tighten in his chest. For the first time in his long life of war, he did not feel like a commander guarding the symbol. He felt like a warrior guarding a child who understood unity better than any general. The enemy tried one last move. A group of heavy assault ships broke from the battle and rushed straight toward the planet. Engines overloaded for suicide impact. Human pilots moved instantly to intercept. 3 human ships were destroyed in seconds. The assault ships kept coming. Then the legendary fleet moved. One ancient ship shifted its angle slightly, only slightly. A wave of silent force rolled outward across space. The enemy assault ships did not explode. They simply stopped. All motion ended at once, as if time itself had refused to let them continue. Then they slowly folded inward and vanished like smoke pulled into nothing. The battlefield froze. Victory began to spread like fire. The enemy commander finally understood. This war was never about ships or weapons. It was about a choice made by a child. A choice the universe had decided to defend at any cost. The enemy fleet began to retreat in full. Not in order. Not with pride. They fled in scattered paths into distant dark space. The planet destroyer weapon lost its charge and powered down as if ashamed to remain awake. Across the combined fleets, silence followed. Then cheers spread through open channels. On Earth, people cried as battle footage reached their screens. Mothers held their children tight. Fathers whispered thanks into shaking hands. The human race had stood against a force that erased worlds. And it had not stood alone. On the desert planet, the shield slowly lowered for the first time since the war began. Warm wind moved across the sand. The sky opened back into peaceful stars. Rack stepped aside and allowed Adam and Kiro to walk forward onto open ground again. Adam looked up at the quiet sky. "Is it over?" he asked. Rack did not rush to answer. "The battle is over," he said at last. "The meaning of it is only beginning." Kiro lifted the toy robot high into the soft light like a small victory flag. Alien warriors knelt. Human soldiers followed. Not because they were ordered to, but because in that moment, everyone understood. This was not the end of a war. It was the birth of something new. Far away. In deep silence beyond known space, one enemy figure watched the retreat with burning eyes. The purge had failed. The child still lived. And now, the universe had chosen its side. The figure turned toward the darkness and whispered, "Then we will not fight the symbol again. We will break the future it promises." The war did not end with fire. It ended with silence. Above the planet, broken ships drifted like quiet shadows. The ancient fleet slowly turned back toward the deep dark of space. Human and alien cruisers held their lines until the last enemy signal was gone. Then, one by one, the weapons powered down. For the first time in many long days, the stars were only stars again, on the ground. Adam stood very still as the wind moved across the sand. The air no longer shook. No alarms screamed. No shields hummed. It was quiet in a way that felt gentle instead of empty. Kiro stood beside him, holding the toy robot close to his chest. His small blue fingers were no longer shaking. Rake stepped forward slowly and removed the broken pieces of his war armor. He placed them on the sand in front of the children. This was not weakness. This was history. A warrior laying down his armor before innocence. Other alien commanders followed. Then human officers did the same. Across the battlefield, weapons were lowered not in defeat, but in understanding. You did not win because you are strong, Rock said. Looking at Adam, you won because you chose kindness first. Adam did not feel like a hero. He only felt tired. He looked lonely, he said again, just as he had on the first day. That simple sentence spread across the universe, on Earth. Children watched the story on screens and asked their parents why the war had stopped. Scientists, leaders, and warriors gave many answers, but none of them were as true as the one spoken by a 7-year-old boy on a forgotten desert planet. That night, the first Joint Sky Council was formed above the planet. Humans sat beside alien warriors. Ancient fleets held position as quiet guardians. The words enemy and ally began to lose their meaning. A new word started to rise instead. Protectors. Kiro single quotes, as people were declared a protected world. Human colonies offered help to rebuild it. Food ships arrived. Medical units followed. Schools were planned where ruins once stood. For the first time since the war took everything, Kiro's planet began to breathe again. Adam stayed on the planet longer than anyone expected. Earth wanted him home. Leaders wanted to honor him. But Adam refused to leave Kiro alone. Heroes don't leave their friends behind, he said. So Earth did something no race had ever done before. They built a home between worlds. A small station was placed in permanent orbit above the planet. Not a base. Not a fortress. A bridge. Humans and aliens lived there together. Children played in halls that once carried only soldiers. Laughter replaced alarms. Years passed. Adam grew taller. Kiro grew stronger. The toy robot stayed between them. The story of the boy and the alien child became legend, but Adam never spoke about it much. He learned alien languages instead. He learned how to fly light ships. Kiro learned human songs and stories. They were no longer symbols. They were brothers. Far away, in hidden darkness, the last enemy watched the universe change. Trade routes became friendly again. Old races started to speak instead of strike. The future was turning into something the enemy could not control, and that frightened them more than any fleet. One final attempt was made. A single weapon. One silent shot. No warning. It was aimed at the orbital station where Adam and Kiro lived. The shot never arrived. The ancient fleets felt it before anyone else could. They formed a wall of light without command. Human ships raced in beside them with all engines burning. The enemy weapon fired again. The universe answered. Together. The beam broke. The weapon burned. The last threat died without ever touching the children. After that day, no race ever dared to raise a weapon against a child again. Years later, when Adam was no longer a boy, he stood on a rebuilt tower overlooking a green valley where deserts once ruled. Kiro stood beside him, taller now, his silver hair long and bright in the wind. Children of many worlds played in the fields below. It started with a toy, Kiro said. Adam nodded. No, he said gently. It started with a choice. Above them, The stars shone quietly. No fleets were hidden behind them. No weapons slept inside them. Only light. Only paths. Only future. And across the universe, every race remembered the same truth. The strongest force in existence was never war. It was the moment a human child chose to be kind. And the universe chose to protect that choice forever.